Ever thought of a superior alternative to capitalism that could create a fairer and more prosperous world? Welcome to Depict Productions. Join us on this intellectual journey as we explore the strengths and weaknesses of capitalism and examine alternative economic models. What is an economic system? In all societies, whether communal or capitalist, the answer has two key components. First of all, let's dive into how a society produces goods and services. This aspect revolves around the process and the tools employed. Take hunter-gatherer communities. They don't sow crops but rely on nature's bounty. In agrarian societies, fields are cultivated with plows, whereas industrial societies deploy advanced machinery and technology to farm, harvest, and even synthesize food in laboratories. So it's about the method and means employed in creating what we need. Another dimension to production is the social aspect, where people organize themselves into relationships to create goods and services. Think of it as the distinction between shoes crafted by independent shoemakers in small shops versus shoes mass-produced by factory workers employed by someone else. It's not just how things are made, but also how individuals come together in these production arrangements. The second crucial aspect of an economic system is understanding what occurs with the produced goods, how they are distributed among society's members, and who reaps the benefits. Essentially, it's about the purpose of economic endeavors. Purpose of an economic system. Throughout the annals of human history, spanning hundreds of millennia, the fundamental purpose of economic systems can be distilled into a straightforward and unsurprising objective: meeting the essential needs of the individuals engaged within them. Be it ancient tribes or early civilizations, the driving force behind these systems remains consistent, providing sustenance and shelter for survival. Cooperation and the ethos of sharing have held a paramount role, serving as bedrock values that underpin efficient production and ensure equitable distribution of resources. This enduring principle of ensuring everyone's necessities are met has been the overarching goal in most societies across most eras. The bitter truth of capitalism. Industrial capitalism, the reigning economic system, warrants a critical understanding. Its primary objective isn't catering to the needs of those involved in it. While it may inadvertently produce goods and services that people require, this isn't its central aim. Capitalism thrives by compelling individuals to vie for personal enrichment. The primary focus revolves around fostering competition to amass individual wealth. The consequences for everyone else, while not entirely insignificant, don't hold the system's primary concern. This isn't the first system to prioritize individual gain over collective well-being, but it's the most contemporary and dominant one globally. Capitalists must indeed create products that people either genuinely need or can be persuaded to desire. Yet the overarching purpose remains the facilitation of individual wealth accumulation through competition. What this essentially means is that when a small segment of the population manages to amass the lion's share of wealth, the system is essentially doing exactly what it's built to do. Even if millions of people are struggling to put food on the table, find adequate shelter, access decent health care, or witness their infrastructure and education systems deteriorating, the economic system doesn't perceive these issues as signs of its own failure. To understand this concept better, just take a peek at the so-called economic indicators used to gauge the health of the economy. You'll notice they largely sidestep measuring the quality of people's everyday lives or how well their basic human needs are being met. Furthermore, the well-being of the planet and non-human species, which are inherently intertwined with our own fate, often go unaccounted for. These elements don't feature in the capitalist economic system's agenda because they fall outside of its core objectives. Throughout the vast span of human history, structuring the world in this manner would have appeared utterly nonsensical. It would have been regarded as bizarre, profoundly unwise, possibly even self-destructive, a blatant contradiction to the essence of living as fully realized human beings. The notion that an economic system could not only permit but actively promote a tiny elite to amass nearly everything, endorsing the belief that there is no such thing as too much, allowing human desires to run unchecked while envisioning a prosperous future while the rest of the planet suffers, is so far removed from reality that it borders on the absurd. We find ourselves entrenched in a sort of systematic madness, built upon fantastically untenable assumptions, a state of affairs that challenges the very foundations of rationality and common sense. So if not capitalism, then what? Don't bother. It's really very simple. We just need an economic system that prioritizes meeting the needs of people, the earth, and all its creatures. It should acknowledge the undeniable truth that we're interconnected and share a common fate both biologically and ethically. And how do we get there? Well, we must start from where we stand, confronting capitalism's core belief that individual greed can build a moral society and sustainable planet. To challenge this notion, we need to revise the rules that permit unchecked private wealth accumulation, curb the risky financial speculations that benefit the select few at the expense of others, and address the influence of wealth over critical institutions, particularly the political system. These steps are vital in dismantling the sacred assumptions that underpin capitalism, paving the way for a more equitable and sustainable future. Any practical examples? Some societies offer a glimpse of what an alternative system could resemble, with Norway being a notable example. During the 2008 global financial crisis, Norway remained relatively unscathed because it doesn't let individual and corporate greed reign supreme in its economy. The country enforces strict regulations on banks and financial institutions while also maintaining higher income tax rates to generate the necessary revenue for essential services like healthcare and education, ensuring that the basic needs of its citizens are met. Norway's approach provides a compelling example of a more equitable and resilient economic model. It's crucial to note that while Norway represents an alternative model, several key elements of capitalism remain intact. For instance, businesses are still predominantly in private hands, owned by individuals and corporations. However, there's a significant exception when it comes to resources vital for everyone's well-being, like energy. In such cases, the government either owns or tightly regulates these resources on behalf of the entire nation. An excellent illustration of this is Norway's vast North Sea oil reserves, which are collectively owned by the nation rather than private corporations. The resulting income is then distributed among the entire population, emphasizing a more communal approach to resource management. So, what may we call it? Well, this economic system has a name: democratic socialism. In the United States, we often hear warnings about the socialism part, suggesting it could lead to a loss of individual freedom. Historical examples like the Soviet Union and China did experience this, but numerous current examples, including Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Switzerland, and the Netherlands, show a different side of socialist principles: the Democratic Party. Redefining freedom. If we define freedom as the ability to act without considering consequences, then socialism does impose limitations compared to the US. Yet, these restrictions primarily impact the wealthy and corporations, not the majority of ordinary citizens. It's worth noting that it's often the wealthy and powerful, especially through their influence on mass media, who continually caution us about the dangers of socialism. So while socialism may redefine freedom, its impact on the average person differs significantly from the portrayal we often hear. Comparison. Americans often hear that they enjoy unparalleled freedom and quality of life, with the best healthcare system globally. However, a closer examination of evidence reveals a different story. Countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and more consistently outperform the United States in personal happiness and various quality of life metrics, including crime rates, healthcare, social mobility, income equality, wealth distribution, and democratic governance. So the perception of American exceptionalism may not align with the reality experienced by these nations. Unconventional insights. The US shouldn't aim to replicate a complex version of a homogeneous country like Norway, given our unique history and circumstances. However, studying the experiences of democratic socialist nations can offer valuable insights. It enables the US to raise critical questions about its economic system and the ensuing consequences, an endeavor that this country has thus far been hesitant to undertake in a substantial manner. All in all, to seek an alternative to capitalism, we must first confront the reality of our economic system and its profound impact on our world. Well, there you have it. So, ready to join the conversation? Share your thoughts on economic systems in the comments below. Do you believe there's a better alternative to capitalism? We want to hear your perspective and ideas for a more equitable future. Thanks for watching Depict Productions, and we'll see you in the next one.